Compounding my dividend portfolio, like you can see right here, has been something that I've been working on for the last 8 or 9 years now. Now, what I mean by compounding my portfolio is that over the last several years, I've been buying into different dividend-paying stocks and ETFs, like you can also see right here on the screen, and then allowing those different dividend-paying stocks and ETFs to pay me dividends, reinvesting those dividends into more shares of more stocks and ETFs, and basically doing that every day, every week, every month, and now for years. Now, I will say after the past several years, there are a few simple ETFs that I've been utilizing and buying consistently now for a while that have really been helping me compound my portfolio a lot quicker. And this is because these specific ETFs offer some upside potential, but also offer a boatload of income paid out almost ASAP, which is definitely helping me grow my portfolio faster than ever before. So in this video, we're going to keep it really simple, and I'm going to share with you 5 ETFs that I've been buying like crazy over the past year or so, and also side note that I plan on buying a lot here in 2025. All 5 of these ETFs, in my opinion, are extremely safe, but also they all have upside potential and pay a boatload of income to investors like myself right from day one. So if you want to see which 5 ETFs I'm talking about, the 5 ETFs that have helped me compound my portfolio like crazy over the past several years, then make sure to stick around, drop a like down below, and let's go into the first one. If you are a dividend investor who wants to level up your portfolio, you need to be tracking your dividend income consistently. And that's why I created the perfect dividend tracker that I've used to scale my dividend income up to all-time highs over the last year. Now, along with this dividend tracker, you're also going to receive my A to Z dividend investing ebook, which shows you how I personally started from $0 several years ago to now where I earn over $7,500 per month in dividends. So if you want this tracker and the ebook, go to the first link down below in my description and grab it today. The first ETF that has helped me compound my portfolio a lot, especially over the last several months, is ticker symbol SPYI, or the NEOS S&P 500 High Income ETF. And even though for a while now I've owned several hundreds of shares of this one, almost 1,000 shares as the last count, this ETF is still on my buy list and I want to add more in 2025. And this is just because of what this ETF has to offer. Now, SPYI is probably not necessarily a brand new name for a lot of you guys, but keep in mind this ETF has only been trading since late 2022, so some investors watching this video maybe don't know about it. This ETF basically utilizes the S&P 500, and then you guessed it, sells options. Now with this ETF offers a boatload of income, around 12% distribution rate, which really allows your money to go very far in the context of generating income. But also this ETF at times can buy and sell SPX index options, which means not only is there the potential for massive income generation through that, but also the potential for upside. Now, all that being said, this ETF also does this very tax efficiently, which is sort of a bonus on top. Now, this ETF must be doing something right because it has almost $3 billion in net assets, and I honestly have not found a dividend-focused or income-focused investor yet that has something bad to say about it. SPYI pays around 51 cents more or less per share per month and costs around $50 per share more or less, which means for every single $100 more or less you invest in SPYI, you're sort of going to be expecting another dollar in the form of distribution that following month. Now, because you see the title of the video, I promise that I'm going to share with you guys 5 ETFs that are helping my portfolio compound. And because as of right now, I think I have just over 800 shares of this one at last count, that's a lot of income consistently into my portfolio every single month. That allows me to buy more shares of this one or more shares of whatever the case might be in my portfolio, which again are going to pay me, you guessed it, more dividends, more distributions moving forward. So if you're looking for an ETF that could potentially at least help you compound your portfolio, SPYI is one of the best to do it. Now, another great ETF that I've been holding on for a lot longer than SPYI, one of my first ever income-oriented positions this is. I'm talking about JP Morgan Nasdaq Equity Premium Income ETF, or of course, JEPQ. Now, there's not really much to say about JEPQ either. I'm sure a lot of you guys already are aware about this one, and I'm sure a lot of you guys watching this video have some shares of JEPQ in your portfolio, and comment down below me if that's you. But JEPQ basically utilizes the Nasdaq 100, and then you guessed it, sells options, which has allowed this ETF to pay massive dividends consistently, more or less, ever since inception. Now, JEPQ doesn't necessarily pay as much compared to SPYI, but they're pretty much in the same realm, around 9%, 10% yield, more or less. But not only that, JEPQ has also grown over time. Now, as far as Nasdaq 100 exposure, through options, of course, that is, JEPQ is one of my favorite ETFs personally that I've owned for several years now. I bought into JEPQ and JEPI almost right when they started trading. Now, over the past several years, JEPQ has been paying me hundreds and hundreds of dollars every single month inside my personal portfolio, which then, of course, I've been using that money to buy more shares of either JEPQ or whatever other stocks or ETFs are on sale at the given time. And that's allowed my portfolio to compound only that much further, which is why I'm such a fan of this one, and also why I plan on grabbing more JEPQ here in 2025. Now, of course, you can't make a video talking about compounding and not include SCHD, the Schwab US Dividend Equity ETF, which is quite a compounding machine, especially because this ETF, although it doesn't pay the biggest starting yield, it's been paying more and more in dividends, more or less every single year since inception. Now, SCHD's objective is to track as closely as possible before fees and expenses the total return of the Dow Jones US Dividend 100 Index. This index is made up of a lot of familiar names that all have been paying dividends for a while and raising their dividends consistently. Now that's exactly why this ETF has allowed my portfolio to compound even during the last few years that I've been holding on to it, and that's just because this ETF specifically has paid more and more in dividends for every single share that I've owned since I started buying it. Now the idea with SCHD is that, again, this is not for certain, but the idea at least is that this ETF could potentially pay more and more in dividends over the next, say, 10, 20, 30, 40 years. Now that means however many shares you own of SCHD, even if you get paid X or Y today, that means that in the future, you're likely going to be getting paid much, much more as far as dividend income goes. Now along the way, by holding SCHD, not only can you use those dividends paid out every single quarter and reinvest into more shares of SCHD or anything else, but also if the dividends are getting bigger, you can understand how fast it's going to compound your portfolio. Now because I personally have several thousand shares of SCHD and still buy them very consistently on a daily basis, this ETF specifically has helped my portfolio in the past already, but in the future this ETF hopefully is going to make my portfolio's dividend income explode. Now we have two more ETFs to go through. This is another one that's definitely helped my portfolio as a whole compound significantly over the past few years. Now I'm talking about ticker symbol DIVO or DIVO, the Amplify CWP Enhanced Dividend Income ETF, which basically buys into a small basket of stocks, around 30 or so, sells covered calls and individual names, and then allows investors to receive around 5% more or less distribution rate right off the bat. Now 5% distribution rate is not bad whatsoever, especially when DIVO, at least over the past year or so, has been paying a little bit more every single month, more or less I'm saying, and along with that DIVO's been growing. Now DIVO is one of my sleep well at night positions. I've owned several thousands of shares of DIVO pretty much for the last 5 or so years. Now the last name that's definitely been helping compound my portfolio, and a name that I think is going to compound my portfolio a lot in the next, say, 5 or 10 years, is GPIQ, or the Goldman Sachs Nasdaq 100 Core Premium Income ETF, one of my new favorite income-oriented ETFs that offer more exposure to one of my favorite indexes, the Nasdaq 100. Now this ETF is very similar to any other income-focused Nasdaq 100 cover call style ETF, but the only difference is this ETF provides exposure to the Nasdaq 100 and dynamically sells call options, which means there could be times where the fund is not as covered as other times, which can of course mean that this fund can have a lot more upside. Now, I'm not a betting person by any means, but if I were to have to bet on one Nasdaq 100 income-focused ETF for the next 10 or so years, this one would definitely be in the running of the top across the entire market. And for that reason, I'm buying a ton of GPIQ in 2025. I already own quite a few shares, and I wish I would have bought a lot more of this one during red days. So there we have it. Those are 5 specific ETFs that I've been buying over the past year or so, at least, some longer than others, that have been compounding my portfolio to new heights, like I've been able to see over the past several months. Now, as these different ETFs continue to pay me more distributions or dividends on a monthly basis, I'm dumping that cash right into more shares of whatever I find fit, whatever I find on sale on an ongoing basis. And that's just because for me, longer term, I want to get my total monthly dividends up above $8,000 consistently, and it's going to take a lot of buying to get there. But now before I go, I have one last question for you guys down below. Out of all 5 of the different ETFs we talked about in today's video that I personally own and plan on buying a lot more of, I want to know which of those 5 ETFs are your favorite, if you for whatever reason were only to buy one. Let me know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to please drop a like on it and subscribe for more future content like this. Thanks as always for stopping by, and if you are interested in investing, make sure to check out these recent videos I posted right here.